let me first start by introducing my esteemed friend and colleague, Kyle Dargan. Kyle is the editor and founder of Post No Ills and former managing editor of Callaloo. His debut collection, The Listening, was awarded the 2003 Cave Canem Prize and was reviewed in the New York Times.
But to start, ahead of our president's speech tomorrow, I'd like to read a poem by Phil Levine called Growth. I know he's not listening, but I'll pretend he is. In the soap factory where I worked when I was 14, I spoke to no one, and only one man spoke to me, and then to command me to wheel the little cars of damp chips into the ovens. While the chips dried, I made more racks, nailing together wood lath and ordinary screening you'd use to keep flies out. Racks and more racks until each long afternoon, for this was a growing business and a year of growth. The oil drums of fat would arrive each morning, too huge for me to tussle with, reeking of the dark, cavernous kitchens of the Greek and Romanian restaurants, of cheap hamburger joints, white towers, and worse. They would sulk in the battered yard behind the plant until my boss, Leo, the squat Ukrainian, dollied them in to become, somehow, through the magic of chemistry, pure soap. My job was always the racks and the ovens, two low-ceiling metal rooms the color of sick rain, sick skin. When I slid open the heavy doors, my eyes started open, the pores of my skull shriveled, and the sweat, smelling of scarred animal, burst from me everywhere. Head down, I entered first to remove what had dried, and then to wheel in the damp, raw yellow curls of new soap, grained like iris petals or unseen quartz. Then out to the open, weedy yard, among the waiting and empty drums, where I hammered and sawed, singing my new life of working and earning, outside in the free air of Detroit in 1942, a year of growth.
I'm really happy to introduce Elise Levine, who is our newest addition to the MFA program. She is the author of a story collection, Driving Men Mad, right here, beautiful cover, and Requests and Dedications, a novel. I just wanted to read something. The Globe and Mail said, reading Elise Levine is akin to a wild ride down a dark road at night. And the Toronto Star said, a dazzling wordsmith, a lexical tease, Levine is like a kid let loose in a leaf pile. So something incredibly dangerous about Elise Levine, I think. Something wild and crazy about Elise. I'm really ready to hear that tonight. Please join me in welcoming Elise.
I told my fiction workshop last week that I've been working on a new novel for about, a million years, at least. And I also told them that novels suck. That's sort of the technical term for it. You know? But I also said that I told them that I'll tell you that I've been managing somehow to also work on some flash fiction pieces. Occasionally some poems, like basically other things, which feels so good to have these shorter, smaller things while I'm, trying to maintain my sanity doing that sort of long form, longer narrative form. So I thought that tonight I would read a new short story. It's short, but it's longer than the flash fictions that I've been doing lately, so I'm very happy about that. Earlier that morning, dressing in my mother's disorderly bathroom, dizzied by thoughts of what to cut to keep, what toss, useless for her final journey, the dull manicure scissors, eye cream, nearly 4 finished jars of Vaseline, what the fuck. I handled my belly fat, then sucked it in and yanked the zipper, tortured in private places. But now, the funeral underway, I was thinking the cold could be even colder. I was thinking the kind of cold that crystallized breath to icy jags, pristine puncture. Jesus my ass, Jesus be damned. I imagined a rent-lung clarity, then vapor, a vacuum-packed nothing, gone, done, over. Freedom through freeze-drying, and then reconstituted, reborn as astronaut drift in an unblinking beyond. Escape. Instead, there was the snow. Was it ever coming down, fogging the surrounding hills, leaving not so much to look at except each other, the hole in the ground and the lilac-colored coffin, dainty, impractical, pre-selected by Mom herself, and about to be wholly surrendered, while snow-pelted, weed-linked, unfathoming, diminished, sure, but also swollen, enlarged under grief's magnifying glass. We were fudged, smuzzy, something we weren't before.
Rachel Louise Snyder's book, Fugitive Denim, a moving story of people and pants in the borderless world of global trade, was named one of the best books of the year by the Library Journal and was excerpted on the radio show This American Life, which also won an Overseas Press Award. Her print work has appeared in the New York Times Magazine, The New Republic, and Slate, and she's been a regular contributor on NPR.
Like many of you in the room, I'm sure, I wanted to be a writer my whole life. That's all I ever wanted to be. And, I started writing my first books at a very early age. And someday at one of these readings, I will have the courage to read my 13-year-old diary, but not tonight. I did, however, before I get to the novel, bring some of my very early work so that those of you who are still sort of, becoming writers would maybe feel some inspiration. So I'm just going to read a couple of those. Wait a minute. So these actually go in chronological order. This first one is from 1974, and I think you'll see the beginning of a narrative arc here and a little bit of a conflict. I did the illustrations too. So this is panel 1. You're sweet, except it's written sweat, but I'm pretty sure I meant sweet. You put your makeup on, but you, and this is where the tension is rising, right? Still yell! I was clearly writing to my mother. I'll leave these up here in case you want to read them later. I got a little better the next year. And I've shared this one with David before, actually. This one has a title page. It's called Good Luck and Bad Luck. So right away you're like, what? What is the good luck and what is the bad? See? You can learn a lot from these. Okay. What good luck? I got a horse. What bad luck? But he got a lame leg. That is bad luck. Mary took her finger and thumb and broke off a piece of cookie so small it was barely perceptible to the naked eye. A neutrino of cookie. Her stomach felt warm and soft. She'd eaten 2 bites of salad before the thought occurred to her that something terrible, something green, might well lodge itself betwixt her teeth and ruin, absolutely ruin, her chances with Kaz, who sat next to her on the white plastic bench in the lunchroom, his hip touching hers. She was utterly frozen in place. His hip, her hip, the fire inside. She thought of reading with Arthur, what James Baldwin might have recognized in the moment as the double entendre of The Fire Next Time. She prayed there'd be a this time and a next time with Kaz. Her underwear went soft and wet the minute he sat himself casually down, not across from her, not inches away from her, but so close his hip touched hers and held steady. Her entire body zinged from her toes up. The hip, that hip, his hip. How could she have held herself together through social studies with Kaz sitting just 2 desks behind her all this time, with his hips so charged, so alive? She was grateful that she hadn't, until this moment, known of his electric hips, though she felt herself aware of a vague but growing fear that she would never again be able to concentrate on the mistakes made during the Vietnam War and the miscarriage of justice that was Watergate and the tactical long-term brilliance of the Marshall Plan, knowing that Kaz and his hips were just 2 rows back.